right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the Borough of Oradell Planning Board's meeting for Tuesday, April 7th. It is 7:30, and I'll do a roll call. Mike Forte. Vince Scaglione.
Here.
I'm doing your roll call for you.
Thank you, sir.
Or maybe you should just redo it since Ed's...
Yeah, why don't we redo it, and now that we have Mr. Hines.
Okay. Mr. Snyder?
Here.
Mr. Scalcione?
Here.
Mr. Hines?
Here.
Mr. Darian?
Here.
Mr. Kelly?
Here.
Mr. Fleming?
Here. Okay, would Mr. Kelly, Councilman Kelly, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next agenda item is to approve the Planning Board meeting minutes from March 3rd, 2026.
I make a motion we approve the minutes from March 3rd.
Second.
All in favor?
I'm going to abstain. I think, if I'm not correctly, that was the meeting that was moved to the 5th, that I wasn't here.
That's right, you were out.
Is that correct? That was a
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Tuesday to a Thursday, and I think the meeting was on the 5th, potentially. I'm just going in my memory.
Could be.
It was a Thursday
Yeah, I'm definitely going to abstain. I was not here.
because of I forget, because we had a presentation. Is that correct, Fran? Yeah, it was a big, I think so.
Yeah, when we brought the affordable housing
Yeah.
fair share
And
plan
I think
forward.
that we moved it to a Thursday.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we got 4. That's good. Any
Ron?
objections?
I abstain as well. I recused myself for that session. I recused myself.
And I wasn't there as well.
So
We have
at least one?
Hold till the next meeting.
we did have a quorum. I wasn't there, but I know that the mayor was there,
So we, okay.
Mr. Forte.
You don't need a quorum. You don't need a quorum to vote for.
You only need one.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
We have two.
Mr. Hines, yeah.
Good.
Mr. Hines, did you,
Yep.
Yeah, he was here.
you did. Very good. Thank you. Okay, we have really one agenda item for tonight's meeting, which is the appointment of Fran Reiner as a special planner relating to the redevelopment, and consulting services. So in the context of ongoing affordable housing requirements, specifically around Block 807, Lot 1, and Block 905, Lots 1 and 2, the Planning Board would like to retain Fran Reiner to do a study, an investigation, to provide professional planning and redevelopment consulting services. So if you could, I'd like to ask Mr. Reiner to brief the board on the proposal.
Sure.
And the reasons behind it.
Yeah.
And then we can ask any questions and make a motion to move ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you. Fran Reiner with FAR Planning. We were asked to put together a proposal to do an investigation study of 690, 700, and 800 Kinderkamak Road. And as everybody is aware, the borough has been working through its affordable housing fourth round obligations. As a part of that process, through the negotiations with the judge and the adjudicator, part of the settlement agreement was to designate the properties or determine whether the properties could meet the statutory criteria as an area in need of redevelopment. The redevelopment is a two-step process. The proposal you have in front of you is the first of the two steps. The first step is an investigation study to determine whether or not the properties meet the statutory criteria as an area in need of redevelopment. The state has 9 different criteria So what we'll do is we'll go through each property, each building, and we will put together a report that either says that that individual property does or does not meet the statutory criteria. It'll be introduced by the mayor and council. It'll be referred over to the planning board. The planning will then present it to you, our findings. The board will either accept those findings or reject them and provide a recommendation back to the mayor and council. And then the mayor and council will determine whether or not they want to adopt the findings of the report, which will individually say whether or not each property met the statutory criteria. At that point, the properties would or would not be designated as an area in need of redevelopment. If it's designated, there's no change to the zoning, there's no change to what's permitted, it simply is a designation. And then the second step in that process, as I mentioned, two-step process, would be a redevelopment plan. And that would go through a similar process in terms of mayor and council, first reading, presented to the planning board, and then second reading at mayor and council for adoption. A redevelopment plan essentially represents new zoning for the property. So our first step, and what you have in front of you here right now, is simply an investigation study to determine whether or not it meets the criteria.
Thank you, Mr. Reiner. Does the board have any questions?
I have a question. So, Mr. Reiner, just, high level, I just want to clarify for my understanding, as well as members of the audience who may be listening. You're being retained by the mayor and council to review these subject properties in an area of redevelopment, and you'll be making recommendations to the mayor and council, and then eventually, once they're fine with those recommendations, they will then submit them to the planning board for review, at which time we'll review them, and then given our approval, then it goes back to the mayor and council, and they will then go in and make ordinances or effectively change our ordinances to support that redevelopment plan. Is that correct?
So that's the most common way that it's done. In other words, the mayor and council initiates it, hires a planner, the planner does a study, the study is presented to the board, to the planning board for recommendation, and then it goes back to the mayor and council for adoption. It's my understanding that the mayor and council wants the board to kind of oversee this process. So from a legal standpoint, it still has to go mayor and council, planning board, mayor and council, but it's my understanding that I would be directly working for the board. So even though it still has to be introduced by the mayor and council because it's a mayor and council process, we will be presenting it to the board. It's the board's document to review, and the board will be able to determine, ask questions at that point, whether or not they have questions about the findings. And the board will still make a recommendation back to the mayor and council, whether or not that recommendation is one or all do, or one or all do not meet the criteria. That'll be the board's decision.
Okay. Thank you.
Fran, just for clarity also for the public, et cetera, can you discuss any potential or the ramifications or the potential benefits of designating that area in terms of need of redevelopment? Right now, we did change the ordinances, and what does this potential, if granted, what would that do, or any kind of ramifications for the borough?
So the investigation side of it, that's, like I mentioned, there's two steps. One is the investigation study, the other is a redevelopment plan. The investigation study allows you to do a redevelopment plan. But an investigation study and a designation by itself doesn't change the zoning. It doesn't allow for any uses that aren't currently allowed. It doesn't effectually change anything in terms of the property and what can be done, other than it allows you to then do a redevelopment plan. So you can't do a redevelopment plan without a designation. The redevelopment plan part of it allows for the municipality to have significantly greater control over a conventional ordinance. So ordinances typically allow bulk standards, height, density, on a piece of property, how much of the property can have a building, how much can be impervious, whereas a redevelopment plan allows much greater control in terms of the design. It can dictate literally down to size of windows, materials, colors, how the building is designed. And so municipalities that use redevelopment typically use it because they want a certain look and feel. In addition to, there are other financial mechanisms that a redevelopment designation and plan allow a municipality to consider. But it has much greater design control over conventional ordinances.
Right. So if granted, this would be a huge win for the borough, right? In general.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it gives the borough much greater control over what gets built in terms of the look and feel than the current ordinances that were just recently adopted.
Sure. Thank you.
Mr. Reiner, I got another question. This discussion led to this question of the ordinances. Currently, what was passed in the C2, which is the commercial business district, office business district zone, is an overlay zone. Is that correct?
Yeah.
The density and the lot coverage. So what an overlay zone means is that the underlying zone remains the same. And if someone wants to meet the affordable housing criteria, they could use the overlay as their guide, the ordinance for that. When we do a redevelopment, that is something that we change the underlying zone. Is that correct?
So the redevelopment plan can be done in, answer your question, of every one that I've ever worked on, every redevelopment plan I've ever worked on, which at this point may be upwards of 50 or 60 of them over the last 15 years. All of them have superseded the underlying zoning. But it's my understanding that the law allows you to either do it as a superseding document, which everyone I've ever done does, or it can be done as an overlay type. My recommendation, and I believe that, given what I've done in the past, it would be superseding. But it doesn't have to legally be, from my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So if it meets the criteria, then this all takes root in a change of the land use ordinances.
If they are designated, then the mayor and council would initiate the second step. They would
Right, but
would ask the board to then conduct a redevelopment plan, and that redevelopment plan would represent new zoning.
And that's where it would happen?
Yes.
In the land use?
Yeah.
What is potential timing, in terms of getting the answer?
So, because of the nature of first reading, mayor and council, planning board presentation, second reading, adoption, it generally takes 2 to 3 months. So what we would do,
work.
we would have our work done within the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
At which point then it would go into that process of mayor and council, and then we'd have to notice for planning board, and then mayor and council second reading. So when you go through the whole adoption process, it's usually a 2 to 3 month process. We'll have our portion of the study completed, our findings and recommendation to the board, I would say within 3 to 4 weeks.
But in terms of who's granting, who's saying, yes, this does qualify for redevelopment?
My report will say whether or not I believe, as a professional planner,
Okay.
it does or does not. I will present that to the board, and the board can either agree or disagree with my findings.
Okay. And then in the future, any developer or somebody could potentially challenge that, or is your opinion as a professional, or how does that work?
There is a period of time in which developer can challenge the designation.
Okay.
I believe it's 45 days. It might be 30. I'd have to check on that. It's 45. So it's 45-day challenge period. So when we present it, there's a challenge period of 45 days. Once that period expires, then you cannot challenge the designation.
So 2 years down the line, developer comes in, they can't challenge it. So that's
That's right.
Thank you.
I'm going to pile in again, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
So we spent a lot of time this evening talking about the what we're doing. I wanted just to touch on the why. Why are we considering this? And I'm just going to ask you a simple question. These properties are functioning office buildings, and they're relatively large lots. And why are we doing this? And this is, I know the answer to it, but I just want to discuss this publicly. is because in today's climate, these properties are desirable for developers to build apartments. And is it true that there are individuals who are currently interested in developing these properties?
Yeah, so I don't know how far the board wants me to go back in the timeline, but as everybody is aware on the board, you know, the state of New Jersey has a fourth round housing obligation. There was a process that this municipality, along with every municipality or just about every municipality in the state, went through with judges and adjudicators to basically try and come up with a way for each municipality to meet its affordable housing obligation. And so, as a part of that process, there were 2 developers that filed as objections to the fourth round housing spending plan that this board is aware of. It was adopted in June of 2025. And through that negotiation with the developers and the adjudicator and the municipality, it was determined that these properties were eligible and desirable for meeting the affordable housing obligation. And so there was negotiations with those developers, with the judge and the adjudicator on what would be appropriate. That's why the zoning was adopted in order to keep the municipality have immunity from any builder's remedy suits. And as a part of that negotiation process, it was discussed and agreed to consider designation of the properties. So there are developers that are interested in these particular properties. I will say that they're not all interested in what was adopted. Those are legal battles that we're not involved with right now, but we are moving forward in an attempt to meet the agreed upon requirements of the settlement agreement.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, then I would like to make a motion to appoint Fran Reiner as special planner related to this redevelopment and consulting services.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Calcione?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Flegg?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Reiner.
We look forward to working with you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, I'm gonna, unless anybody has committee reports they want to make, I was gonna just move on to old business.
I have no report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and old business, I don't see any. New business, I see a couple of items, Mr. Dupkin.
Yes, again, this year you have to fill out your financial disclosure statement. I think everybody has done that in the past. It's easy to do if you go, I think Gabby sent the link for that, and you just hit the website, and they actually transfer all your information from last year onto this year. You just go through it and approve it, and then they give you a certificate. Once you get that, if you could give that to to Gabby or myself, we can keep that on file, so we have a record of that. The next thing is the cybersecurity training. Has anybody done the first training course?
I did. I managed.
Okay, so you got to do the 2 courses. Very simple, easy, that goes through. It just takes time. It takes about 20 minutes for each course. They put you through a
10 courses.
question and answer section, and each section you go through it, and you can change your answer if it's incorrect until it's correct, and then you just move.
Where do we get this course?
Gabby should have sent that also. That
I don't
cybersecurity.
remember seeing that, but I'll look back.
Okay, I'll have her send. Would you like me to have her send both out again?
Yeah, I did. I did get the financial disclosure from Laura. I got it, not from Gabby.
Yes,
For some reason,
Laura might have.
Laura
sent that
Lyons,
to
yeah.
all employees and volunteers. So she probably did that. Yes.
It's in your packet here also, the directions. Yeah, the hardest thing with that
cyber thing was getting on, is with passwords and those types of things. But
Yeah.
would you have an answer as to why we get a daily email from them, whatever that is, at 4 a.m.? Does everybody get that?
I was not aware of that.
I've gotten
Every single day at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know what from the same company,
I-
the cyber company, and it's
From what I was I read in the training, some of it is just information updates, but others are tests to see if you
like
fall
phishing
victim
or something.
to
It's every-
phishing. So I just
literally every day.
I created a rule that anything that comes from DTM, it automatically goes to the deleted folder.
Yeah, I deleted it right.
And,
I got one now.
and when I clear out my
I don't
deleted
know,
folder,
2:01 a.m.
it wipes them out. So
That's the first I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's every day.
it makes me very paranoid. So if it's not coming from Gabby or someone I know here at the borough, I just immediately delete it.
Well, you got that section right.
Well, it was tough actually. It was not so easy.
I just saw something come up, it was Microsoft something, and I think Gabby caught it, and it was circled, and it was the website, and it wasn't Microsoft, it was RN,
Oh,
which looked like an M
oh.
in front for the Microsoft word. It was
Yeah.
tricky.
All right, if you can have her send that cyber out again, that would be good. Okay, thank you.
I have something for new business.
Sure.
So I noticed on Facebook there was some conversation about, from the historical committee perspective, about look and feel of new buildings that will be proposed within the borough. And I think a lot of it came from the conversation over 4455 Kindermack. There was an illustration. I don't know how realistic that illustration is, but the bottom line is, Tom, you're liaison, right, with the historical committee?
I'm liaison for this board, yes, and we do have a council liaison, yes.
So I just wanted to mention that within the master plan, we do address, look and feel and the materials that are used for any development within the borough. And there are 2 or 3 examples, well, in 2 or 3 sections of the master plan, it gives examples of you should have construction quality that is similar to Borough Hall, the library, or the fire station, meaning, that kind of brick and that kind of architecture, that style. It's kind of like a Federalist style. And that is suggested. And so when applicants come in front of the board and they propose building materials, we can say, is this in line with what we're looking for with the master plan? So the bottom line is, if the committee can look at what we have and wordsmith it, and if they want to add to it, we'd be more than willing to entertain it, because I think at some point we're going to finish a re-exam of the master plan. And so there is a window of opportunity. If they want to, add to the master plan, we'd be willing to entertain it. So you can just reach out to them and ask. I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah. I was not aware that it did specifically reference Borough Hall, library, those words in there. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Will do.
Okay, any other new business? Okay, with that, I'll open it up to the public.
Good evening, Paul Atsunas from the beautiful blossoming Beverly Road. I have a question for you, Mr. Reiner, and I wanted to know when you spoke with the adjudicator about how this area is supposed to be developed, was there anything in the conversation about infrastructure or other things for the community that we would have to do, or that they would have to do, and who would be responsible?
So there were a number of conversations throughout the process. I will say that they're going to have to, any development of any of those properties are going to have to meet all of the state and local requirements for like stormwater, sewer, utility, those types of things. There are provisions in the ordinance for open space. There are provisions in the ordinance for commercial, retail, other uses other than residential. So conceivably, the redevelopment plan would expound up on those preliminary requirements as part of the ordinance.
Thank you. I have some other comments here for the planning board. We have established a B1 zone down in the lower portion of Kinderkamack Road. I'd like to know why we have not recommended to the mayor that all commercial businesses should have storefronts and window design. And that hasn't been done, even though it was suggested by Mr. Dresser. And I brought this up before, and I feel like it's just gone over your heads on that suggestion. Could somebody tell me what your feelings are on that as far as the planning board? And you may all say your own feelings. And maybe it's a good time to just get it out now.
Craig, you want to answer that?
Sure. In 2018, when we had the Central Business District amendment to the master plan, we talked about storefront design in the master plan, specifically what type of storefront, what type of windows, what type of signage that storefront should have, and it should encourage a walkable downtown. And all that information is in the Central Business District section of our master plan from 2018. And so now that the B3 zone is part of the Central Business District, it would make sense that the design standards apply. But you have to remember, those design standards are just recommendations within the master plan. They're not ordinances. So, you know, if you want to, let's say, for instance, you like windows with mullions as opposed to just sheet glass. Well, if it states that in the master plan, you can go to the mayor council meetings and ask for ordinance changes to support the master plan, and and they would entertain that idea.
I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
It's in the master plan already, is what I'm saying. So, if there's any verbiage in there, I mean, we're just as open to.
If it's in the master plan, it was not a recommendation to the mayor and council. It has to, besides being in the master plan, it has to be recommended for the same reason that the 15-foot buffer zone wasn't recommended. So I want you guys to recommend this to the mayor and council, and let's see what happens. Are we going to go with storefronts with windows along the business corridor on Kinderkamack Road, where we're going to have all those commercial businesses?
Well, I think your definition of recommendation and our definition of recommendation, I think is slightly different. I think you're viewing it as much more aggressive, like we have authority. We can make recommendations, and it is in our master plan, which is a recommendation document. Whether or not it's implemented is up to the borough. So.
You got to go to mayor and council.
Yeah.
So the mayor and council is not reading your recommendations as planners. Is that the answer?
No, they just haven't.
That's what I'm going to ask.
They just haven't made an ordinance around that.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's lots of things like pedestrian safety, sidewalk design, street signage, the look and feel of the street signs. The welcoming signs for the business district.
Yeah.
We made all those recommendations in the master plan. It's in there if you read it. And, not everything was, followed through. I know that the town focused on pedestrian safety for a while, but they decided to do different things. So, as an example, crosswalks and Grant, and, I can't recall the specifics that they did, but the point is that it's just a recommendation out from our perspective, and we can't mandate or we can't bully them into.
No, I know that. But you can recommend them and say,
sure,
Mayor and Council, we think that this is a good idea.
Yeah, and it's in our master plan. Yeah,
and it's in our master plan, but they may not even be aware that it's in the master plan. Okay, so maybe when you suggest it that way, then they will be aware, and then they can act on it or tell you, find some more stuff for us to figure this out. And they'll bring it back to you, and then you bring it back to them again, right? I guess that's the way it works. The other thing is on the buffer zone, and for example, the 15-foot that I've been yelling about for years, about the 15-foot buffer zone from commercial properties to residential single-family homes. And this is the whole corridor of this area now on Kinderkamack Road is all on single-family homes bordering them. So it's very important. And maybe in some instances now that they want to build higher buildings or something like that, the 15-foot maybe should become 25-foot. And we should allow for more space as a buffer if we're going to have taller buildings. I mean, if you go down to Avenue of Americas in New York City, they built those big skyscrapers, and they have the big buffer zone in the front there for pedestrians with trees and things like that. You know, I mean, that's something that maybe we could see in this other commercial area here that we were talking about, and have a bigger area for pedestrians to go to. And if these places become businesses, and they have affordable housing there, and they have stores and stuff there, this could become a pretty big deal here, you know, making space for people. Okay. The other thing, maybe not in your jurisdiction, but it's the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit that the B1 zone has. And now that we have it in this southern area of the town, it should be acted upon on the 25-mile-per-hour zone, because school children cross there, and really our problems there as planners. I don't know if you're planning on traffic and stuff, if you study that stuff, but as planners, we have a problem there for our residents to get out on Kinderkamack Road. It's really tough. It's like a parade coming down Kinderkamack Road. You got to make even a right turn is hard. You know, forget about a left turn is almost death. You know, because you can't see. And some of these approaches, when you get to the corner, there shouldn't be any parking there on the corners, because then you can't see. You know, you can't see the traffic.
I'm not sure. First of all, I don't think that's a planning board
No, it might
issue.
not be.
I think it's a mayor and council, but
it's a problem.
it's also a county road.
It's a problem, though. But the parking is a problem when they
I would think you would want to align
they close your eyesight off. You know what I mean? When you want to make the turn, you can't see. Should I make a chance? Let's see. I kind of step on the gas a little bit to go out, and then I look and I look and I look. Oh, here he comes. Forget it. You know, stay. then they come from the other side. Then all the traffic from that side finishes, and then you look down. Oh, there's 3 more cars coming from there. Wait. There might be a gap here and there, and then you go zoom, and you've got to floor it to get out, and that's our problem. So anyway, thank you so much for listening tonight.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, I'm going to close. Oh, we have somebody else? Sorry.
That's right. Sam Trips is 327 Maple Avenue. I'm going to talk about the windows. I read that, and just by coincidence, I was reading the master plan the other day. I'm going through some papers. Yes, you did recommend in writing to have better looking storefronts and the bricks to match the town hall and the firehouse. I saw all that. But what happened was, you only recommended it there, but you never put forward a memo like you have for other recommendations. It seems like I see they were cherry picked. Storefront windows weren't put forward to the mayor and council. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a liquor store with no windows. You know that. We knew that for a long time that was happening. So, and I saw you were a little shy, Mr. Darian, about asking for windows for a storefront. How important that was to us. So, in the end, no real recommendation, no law made, and no windows. So we could talk about this for years and still come up with with no design element, really.
Well, can I respond?
Go ahead.
So, I mean, I think this is, excellent points. The problem with the planning board is you have to sit and listen to experts discuss an application at the time it was filed. So at the time when the liquor store was filed, that was the B3 zone, and the zoning ordinances for the B3 zone was written back in the 60s and 70s, or maybe modified in the 80s, but they're very, very old. It wasn't the central business district. They didn't have those design criteria for that designated areas. And in the underlying zone, the B3 zone, the property owner could build whatever he wanted. He wasn't forced to do, like with the overlay zones, mixed use, meaning apartments, and, he could just build whatever he wanted. He could build a box, he could build a glass building. He legally could build whatever he wanted, as long as it had a setback and a height limitation. And unfortunately, we try to ask the applicant, to accommodate, our desires, but, by law, we don't sit up here and own the town. We just basically review the application so that it's legal, and if they have any variances, whatever they are, and if they come in front of the planning board, they're not very large, and we approve those variances. So when it came to that property, I remember asking him, are you sure there's just no way he could do that? And he gave two very good examples of why he couldn't. One was that he had the register there, and that you'd be looking in at the back of the register. And the other was that the sunlight, because the western, the sky would come in through those windows, and it damages the wine. And yeah, we could force him to put in glass, but he would just cover it up to prevent the sun from coming in. So it would be defeative. So around and around we went on that issue, and it was just never adopted. But it was never adopted because we didn't have the legal teeth to enforce it. And that's how that rolled.
I was there, and it really wasn't forcefully or even gently phrased. His reasoning was kind of like lightweight. All right, having the register. First of all, the sunlight. Every store owner has shades. Not every, but it's available. You pull these EV shades certain times a day. I worked in a liquor store. You had full-size windows. Certain times a day, you pull them down. So to me, that didn't hold water. That was number one. The register didn't have to be in front of the window. Second of all, he said he didn't like being looked at. Nonsense again. So your storefront is your sales. That's how you advertise. His other store is in Red Bank, full windows. Whether you put things in the window or not, cover them up a little bit, they're still windows. It's aesthetics. So we could have avoided this. No matter how many times you come back with what you're saying to me, we could have had windows there. I witnessed it. And it doesn't have to the public doesn't have to tell you what to do. You're looking out for us. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to sit up there to have you have the same values.
So, look, if you were to craft some language that we could put into the master plan that would make it more difficult for an applicant to come with these off the wall designs and really let them know up front that if you don't meet this certain very specific design criteria, you're going to have a hard time in town. Yeah. I think the planning board would entertain something like that, because we're not necessarily opposed to that. But, in the absence of that, and if the mayor and council doesn't create ordinances behind that, in the absence of that, all we can do is suggest. The only time that we can't suggest is when there's a variance that's being sought. And then we can be a little more assertive. Yeah. So, I hear you. And, we can't make everybody happy, but, at the end of the day, it's his property, and he's meeting all the building requirements. And if it has nothing to do with the variances, that really isn't our role to, a quick pro quo. You know what I mean? So, so it's look. We're not disagreeing with you. We're just saying that we need to, I guess, be better prepared.
All right. And the way you are better prepared is like you have done. You've produced memos to write those recommendations to the mayor and council. I've done Oprah requests. It wasn't always available to the public, but I found out there were being recommendations made, and poof, they became law because it was coordinated. You don't have to ask the public. You're forwarding to the mayor and council what they know is coming. I don't know how to make this any more clear.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
well, do you really?
Well, I do, yeah. I appreciate it, but I don't know if you appreciate at the time it was in the B3 zone. And I don't think you appreciate that we weren't in a position to mandate that they put windows in. Now, maybe if we did it now, it's in a B1, it'd be a different story. So you have to, you got to look at both sides too, Sam, all right?
I do.
But we hear you, and we can't just, make recommendations on one small area.
Yeah.
It's already in the master plan. It's already
As
in
a
there.
recommendation, as you
Right,
state.
it's in there, and if
All
the
right.
mayor and council want to act on that, they will.
All right. But you're telling them to act on it. It's just coordinated. You know what
We
I'm saying?
did
It's
in
not
the
you
master
just
plan.
talking to yourself.
In
you're
the
talking
master
to
plan,
each
we
other.
told them it was.
All right. I'll point out another instance. Bank of Columbia Bank has 21 sconce lights. All right. This is all old stuff. Yeah. All right. Didn't have to have 21 sconce lights, but nobody objected to it. Plans got looked at. Oh, okay. I guess that's where we're getting. And I spoke about it when they came back to put in a dumpster. But once again, missed opportunity. So at certain times of year, we get blinded. It looks like a spaceship. Could add 2 or 3 or 4 sconce lights, not going around the building. So these are all things that, I can't be the only one who looks at aesthetics. And we could have avoided that, probably by saying...
I think we also have to hear from more people, too.
So once
You're
again,
right. Usually is. You're the only one. So
because no one comes to the meetings. That's the problem.
We did address the sconceless lights, and we did mandate that they put them on a dimmer switch, and they were receptive to reducing the amount of lumens if there were any complaints. So we did impose a lot of requirements because of that specific issue at that time, and they complied with all of them, other than designing the building as you wanted.
Yeah.
But the point being is that there is no ordinance that says you can only have 4 sconces, and they wanted 21, and then we would have been able to mandate 4. We just there's no ordinances that says that. So and when someone wants to build a building, we can't say I want it orange and I want a pitched roof and I want a clear story first floor. We just can't come up with those things.
Yeah, I disagree. Those lights were on 24 hours for 1 year, and nobody told the applicant, hey, can you turn them off till you figure out what you're doing? I looked at him. I sit at that red light that's how I leave Maple Avenue. I catch that red light every time, and I was looking. How come they're going 24 hours and imagine a whole year? Another one. All right.
So, Sam, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think it would make some sense, as my colleagues have mentioned, a couple of these things are mayor and council items.
Right.
To petition the ordinance committee and the mayor and council to bring this up for discussion. I think here it sounds like it's not the most unreasonable thing to have our business storefronts have windows.
Right.
And I think you may get, I don't want to speak to other folks, a favorable opinion, and that's how things could happen.
But
So that's what I would suggest, come to the next mayor and council meeting.
And insist upon it. You know what I'm saying? Not just say, this is what we like, and then forget
Again,
about it.
the mayor and council is going to make that.
I know, but it starts here. All right, I didn't want to belabor that. The last thing I wanted to talk about real quick. Okay, this area needs rehabilitation or what redevelopment. That's a bad word in my mind. I read about it in the paper in other towns, and it always ends up badly, because those properties do get. I never hear about. Investigation turning into, oh, don't bother, it doesn't need redevelopment. So when did all this get discussed? Was this behind closed doors? Because I don't remember I don't remember any, in 36 years, I don't remember us, that I've lived here, that ever came up.
I think I just asked our planner what are the ramifications,
Yeah.
any potential
Yeah.
benefits or drawbacks, and I think we heard benefits there, right?
Yeah.
Fran, if you want to
I heard
address any
that, but
potential.
I don't believe the benefits. It usually ends up badly. The developer
I think
gets...
it allows us to have control over
Right?
what it's, it allows us to have control
Yeah.
over what gets developed there, a lot more
All right.
than just having the current zoning.
All right, are we talking about the north corridor from Sherrod Park to Dairy Queen?
We're
Is that
talking about 3 properties, 690, 700, and 800.
what- Okay, we're not looking at any of the residential sections where they abut
No.
commercial? Okay, all
That's
right,
what-
so that part is well known. I understood that. Okay. All right, thank you.
I just have a question. I have a question, Craig. You're on the subcommittees, right, for these things? When you're on the subcommittee, who do you speak to besides yourselves? Do you go out and speak to the residents in the area that are going to be affected? This is what I spoke about this the last 2 meetings. I gave a big thing about this, okay? That we should be speaking to the residents in the area when we're making plans to see how they feel about something and pass something by them. I haven't heard anything like that. I've never been contacted about 66 Kinderkamack Road. The only thing I got was a notice.
I'm sorry, Paul. We had a short list, but during the 2018, we did invite members of the community. We paid out of our own pockets for dinner with 6 members of the community.
Really?
Absolutely, and asked their opinions. And they were across the spectrum in terms of their perspective on town. They were not members of the mayor council or anything like that. They were
For what particular projects?
just for the 2018 master plan.
Oh, just for the master plan?
Yeah,
But not particular projects that might affect
no,
a residential property?
No. We talked about everything. We talked about the VA.
I mean, the actual residents that are going to be affected, that's
talked
what
about
I'm...
the senior center. We talked about Schroeder Park. We talked about Memorial Field. We talked about, parks or recreation. Do we have enough? We talked about pedestrian safety. We talked about, commercial development, the central business district. We talked about everything with 6 members of the community, and we paid for dinner. So it wasn't just like a token meeting.
Well, it's nice that
we
you
did
paid
that.
for dinner, but the thing is that on
And-
Beverly Road,
And Paul, if you go back and look at some
those
of the
residents
notes-
were never contacted on Beverly Road about 66 Kinderkamack Road.
if you go back at some of the meetings and some of the notes, it was brought up to our face that, you sat there and you listened to us, and it didn't go our way on all items. I mean, some items, there were different. Turns out, it didn't go in the direction that they were positioning. But yes, no, we listen and we're concerned, and I don't know what we're going to be doing moving forward with subcommittees, but it doesn't. You can involve the community. So
We did a survey last year.
and we did the survey, absolutely. So, yeah, thank you. I forgot.
Well,
about
here's
that.
the
And we
point.
had a large public meeting, I think it was in December last year on
Here's the point.
on
We're doing
affordable
a
housing
general
and fair
survey.
share.
I'm sorry. Here's the point. Doing a general survey and speaking to the actual person that's going to be right next to that particular project is something else. Okay? A survey, everybody in town says, well, it's not in my neighborhood. I'll sign it this way, I'll sign that way. But when you go to the person that's going to be right there,
Well, that's why we have public
Water.
meetings. That's why we have public meetings.
that's right. Then a lot of the fault is also on the public, that they don't come to the meetings to give you their opinion.
Or we just said that. yeah.
Because you have to, what I'm saying, you got to have to go after them and chase them for their opinion.
We got to chase the mayor
but you
and
don't
council.
feel like
We
you
got to
have to
chase
do
the
that.
public. We got to
But
chase
they
everybody.
have an obligation to come to you too, and I believe that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to open to public. I'm going to close the public session, and I'm going to ask for an adjournment.
Make a motion, we close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.